Stimulating your mind is an opportunity for us at the end of larger units to show off what we've learned and what we've done. Because we're project-based, students work in units that are 2 to 3 months long, depending on the grade level and what they're covering. And at the end of that unit, they've created something. They have a project that is essentially an assessment of what they've learned. It shows you what they've learned. It's answering some of the big questions that we had at the beginning of the unit. What was the essential thing that we wanted the kids to understand and learn? And that project allows them to explore that using the skills and the knowledge that they've gotten throughout the unit. So at the very end of a unit, we'll have this huge Stimulating Your Mind celebration, and we have all of the classes showcase what they've done. And we invite our parents in, and we can invite other visitors. It's really nice to see the progression. This past one that we did in December was very much about properties of matter. What we noticed in science is that in every grade, you learn an aspect of properties of matter. First grade did a great exhibit on the properties of liquids that was really sophisticated. The vocabulary was wonderful.
Some liquid could be viscous, and viscous means it goes slow. Transparent means you could see through it. And translucent means you cannot see through it.
They had demonstrations on their families and what the different properties and how their families each were unique in their own way. And just like the states of matter change, sometimes our families change too.
Families are different. My family has two sisters, and Francisco's family has 1 sister. I have 5 people in my family, and Francisco has 4 people in his family.
Second grade did earth materials, where they looked at rocks and soil. They went out into the field and created field journals. They became geologists, and they were able to really examine 3 to 4 different rocks, and they looked at its properties. They identified, and by knowing and identifying its properties, they were able to determine what kind of rock it was, and even down to what exactly it is.
The minerals in the rock is feldspar and quartz. The type of rock is igneous. The name of my rock is granite. This is what it was.
Third grade, they were learning about communities around the world in social studies, and they also were exploring properties of matter. They looked at the needs of different world communities, and food, for instance, is a huge need. So they looked at capacity and storage. What are the different ways that we do that, and what might be some of the more effective designs? And then they made their own designs for grain silos.
We built this silo, and we the farmers to store the grain. Because it was a problem that the farmers didn't get to store the grain. Step 1, we made a sketch of our silo, design and select a grain to grow and store. Step 2, we measured the length of our silo. It is kind of a messy job. It's going down. It's going down.
In 4th grade, they do in particular properties of water. So they really dug in and looked at, how if we change the properties of water, how does that affect what's in it?
When you mix oil and rocks with water, some of the salt sinks to the bottom, but some of it dissolves. And the oil, it stays floating at the top. And then the rocks kind of sink into with the salt. This is what happens to rocks and dirt when you mix it up with water. If the rocks sink to the bottom and the water just stays floating. You really can't see some of the dirt because it's kind of little tiny pieces, and it kind of mixed in with the water, so the water turned brown.
They did a lot of experiments with water. They did their own investigations, water investigations, so they had their own inquiry where they tested out different ideas about water.
Yes, okay. So those must weigh more than the pennies.
In 5th grade, they were looking, again, we're kind of going back to the idea of Earth like they did in 2nd grade, only they took it to another level in that they looked at how natural events, weather events, and natural events like tornadoes and earthquakes and erosion and deposition, how that sort of natural event that comes from the earth and happens in the earth, how it affects the land and the people.
We imitate how the tectonic plates work. If it cracks, it also creates a sound wave, and then it goes into the city or a town. They can change the landforms, and they can be very deadly.